Well, hello again. Here we are on a Thursday night, and I am making a list, I guess, and checking it twice. Um, I have been giving quite a bit of thought to what I'm planning on doing tomorrow. As I've mentioned in the last couple of posts, it is now time for me to lock down a trailing earnings stop pretty darn tight. Um, and in doing so, I certainly do want to share that with you as I've shared everything along this journey. Um, but frankly, in doing so, I'm a bit apprehensive um, and actually getting a little emotional right now as the year comes to a close. And I want to make sure that how I present this is taken the right way. Um, and I guess maybe it's my way of trying to maintain humility or what have you. But I thought maybe before I did that tomorrow um, that I would talk a little bit about some of the mistakes, a lot of the mistakes I've made this year, a lot of errors that I've made. And actually, if you can take a quick glance at this piece of paper, you see scribbling on it, um, which was my attempt of trying to capture all the screw-ups of the year. And I've got quite a bit of them here. There were times when I did not adapt quickly enough to changing markets, especially when what I now call the VIX over 50 market, right? Um, and as a result of that, I took a $90,000 hit, over $90,000 hit one day. I haven't let my gains run on strong entries to an extent that I would like at times. My ego crept in at times, and I saw that when I was doing some of the blog entries. I had one enormous order entry gaffe in the Globex session. I had at least two, or I think more, very hard Globex hits where the opportunity was there, but then all hell broke loose. I had extended periods where my head and my hands were connected. I forced trades at times. I overtraded. I traded Europe heavier than I probably should have throughout the year, trying to conquer that market. I wasn't at my station during a couple of prime opportunities, got lulled into sleep by market inaction. I took a large hit right after I started the blog, if you go back to one of the earliest July posts. And then I've been in a bit of a 2-week funk in December that I've talked quite a bit about, and I could go on and on. I was too early a lot, and I guess the reason I'm telling you all this is I guess a couple of reasons. One, again, I need to maintain certainly my level of humility heading into publishing the numbers, and also, and I think one of you folks who commented recently touched on this a little bit as well, in that. Yeah, I think the myth or a myth in this industry is the fact that half decent traders don't make mistakes, and I don't want to get back on my chat room high horse, but there's a huge misconception. I saw this when I taught traders several years ago, and there's just a huge misconception out there that everything's so clean, and people that do fairly well again don't make mistakes. And I mean, I got a page full of them here. And a lot of these you'll read in chapter 1 of any Trading 101 book out there. And I remember back to the days when I used to teach that the light bulb seemed to go on for some people when they realized what I was doing in my trading. When I did teach, by the way, I always wanted to make sure that I incorporated live trading in some manner, some fashion, because I felt that was important. Why more people aren't afraid to share that and share their mistakes, I don't know. Certainly there's a lot of ego in this business. Maybe that's it. Maybe people are afraid of looking human. I don't know the answer to that. But again, as I get ready to share both the tally and the certainly the protective stop, which as I said in today's post, by the way, my most important objective right now is earnings preservation. I could care less about the chart patterns. I really could. I do view it as it's 4 o'clock on a trading day. 51 weeks have gone. 2 weeks are left, less than that with the holidays. We're going to get holiday rhythms. Frankly, I could care less if I forego opportunities. Most of my trading is done for the year. But again, as I get ready to disclose some figures tomorrow, which I have certainly now looked at as I carve out the trailing stop, I want to put that in perspective. If you think this is about ego, if you think this is about me saying, look how good I am, then I guess the last 6 months of the blog were pretty meaningless. I hope that's not the case. But again, I wanted to very carefully preface what I'm going to be sharing tomorrow. I mentioned I'm getting a little emotional, and I can't help it. It's been a long year. It's been a long year. I've mentioned many times throughout the blog that this was a year that I decided to suck it up big time, to push myself harder than I ever have, and just see what the results would be. I felt in years past I was not making this as strong of a priority, and I decided to do so this year from day one. And frankly, now that I look back at it, it's hard to believe. It really is. I guess maybe what this shows all of us is that if you just keep plugging day after day, step by step, and you keep the whole time frame scenario in perspective in terms of trades and days and months and the year and all that kind of thing, and just keep fighting past errors that you make. It's phenomenal what the human spirit can do. And I take very little, if any, credit for anything that's happened this year, and I really mean that. For some reason that I don't quite understand, I have been blessed in such a way that I never expected to be, and it's really quite astonishing. And I'm hoping that one of the reasons is that maybe it was time. Somebody wanted me to share the journey, share not only the good but the bad, and maybe show some people what could be overcome. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know why this year has been what it has been. And again, I take very little credit for what's happened here. So again, I'm not going to try to get overly emotional here, but I can't help it. It's really, and this is not an act, and I hope you know me by now well enough to not think that that's the case. One favor I do ask of those that have followed the blog a bit is I'd like to just hear a few comments or receive some comments in terms of whether you think this is a worthwhile effort to continue in 2009, and by that I mean the blog. I've got to make a couple of decisions going into January. I've enjoyed this. I'm thinking I would like to continue it in some manner. Certainly, I'm probably not going to be trading as aggressively as I did this year. I'm not going to turn into Archie Karras, who I've referenced a few times in the blog. I'm not going to risk what this year has brought, as much as some might. I'll certainly be trading. Don't get me wrong. But maybe I'll come up with a different game and a different target. So I guess what I'm looking for is some feedback. I'm not looking for pats on the back or anything. I'm just looking for some feedback in terms of is this helping anybody? It seems to be based on the dialogue, but I don't know. So give me candid thoughts. I'll publish them all, good, bad, or whatever. So I would appreciate that. Again, a couple of reminders. Tomorrow night, Trading Markets will put up part 2 of the interview. It's actually a pretty good interview, not because I'm in it, but I think David did a good job. He brought out some strong points, some of which we've certainly touched on in the blog, and I really encourage you to take a look at it. And again, Friday we'll lock down the trailing stop and go from there. So year's not over yet, but we're pretty close. So 13 days to go, says the ticker. In my view, tomorrow is really the last main trading day of the year. So take care, and I look forward to your comments. Thanks.